Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
Don't look now, but spring has finally arrived in the Queen City. It's a gorgeous night for baseball as the Reds return home to host the St. Louis Cardinals. First of four coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi again, everyone, with Chris Wells, Jim Day. The Reds hope to turn the page on what's been a slow start to the season, and Chris, they hope to do so behind the right arm of Sal Romano.
Well, he's capable. We know that much, Jim. And I think early in the season, short sample size, but it's been very, very cold. It's been so cold, I think it's very difficult to start judging how hitters are, how pitchers are. Romano, his last time out, walked 4 batters. That's very un-Romano-like when he pitched against the Nationals. And then Saturday, he also had a little bit of control problems being down the middle of the plate. So I really believe that now that the weather's warm, you're going to see Romano have a little better breaking ball, stay on top, and maybe pick up some more strikeouts.
The Reds will be without Joey Votto, at least in the starting lineup tonight. The last time Joey Votto didn't start a game, you got to go back to September 2nd of 2016, but just a scheduled off day, and we're going to see this periodically with an almost 35-year-old Votto. They're going to give him nights off.
Well, they should. I mean, I've always thought that he has never taken enough off days and that he drags a little bit, especially in the dog days of summer when it gets really warm. Remember, when it's really cold outside, it wears on you almost as much as it does when it's super hot. So I'm glad Votto's getting a night off. By the way, that gives Brian Price pretty good bench player late in the ballgame.
We'll talk more about Votto coming up in the game. Now, the St. Louis Cardinals off to a slow start as far as they are concerned, a 5-7 start, and it's a little bit a different look for the Cardinals.
Well, it is. I mean, people that have watched the Cardinals will tell you, gee, I mean, has this ball club aged almost overnight? They do have a couple of key additions. They brought in Marcell Ozuna, a very good outfielder and a power-hitting right-hander from Miami. Greg Holland, the closer. I'm not so sure he's whipped into shape yet. They've lost some players as well, but I think that overall, this is a very right-handed hitting ball club. There's no left-handed thump in the lineup at all, and if you're a right-handed starter and the Reds are loaded with them, I think you've got to like that.
One thing they do have is Michael Wacha as he goes to the hill. Reds very, very familiar with this righty.
Well, and they don't like him. Even though individually there are a number of Reds players that have done well against Wacha, he seems to be able to eke out the W's every time he takes them out. 8-1 record overall, 285 earned run average against the Reds in 14 starts. Overhand fastball, changeup, that's his bread and butter, but he's throwing a little more curveballs again this year too.
He will face Sal Romano, and Big Sal hopes to get through the first inning and a quick start for the Reds. Shannon Ford has that story when we come back. award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. We are very happy to welcome in a new member of the Reds broadcast team here on Fox Sports Ohio, and you'll see her all season long. She is Shannon Ford. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, fellas. How we doing?
Good.
Well, Shannon, welcome to the club.
This week's storyline is brought to you by Elk and Elk. Now tonight we've got Sal Romano. He knows just how important it is to perform well and get off to a good start. That first inning, he does very well, and he knows just how well it is to get off to a good start.
The goal from the start should be get to the first inning, unharmed, give the guys a chance to come up and hit, and with a 0-0 ball game. So, just going to go out there and try to attack, not try to, when I get 2 outs, not back off at all, just keep competing and, get to the first inning with nothing on the scoreboard.
Manager Brian Price really likes what Sal Romano has got. He likes his demeanor. He likes how confident he is. And he says with just a few more quality starts, this guy is really going to be one to watch. And coming up, we've got the Red Legs versus the Red Birds.
Picture perfect night for baseball in Cincinnati. Hello, everybody. I'm Local 12 News meteorologist John Gump. As we get this one going tonight, temperatures nice and warm. We're going to be in the mid-70s here coming up for the first pitch. Quite breezy, though, as we see those winds gusting 20, 30 miles per hour. Winds, though, will calm down as the sun sets tonight, falling down to 66 by the final out under mainly clear skies. Enjoy the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
We are certainly enjoying the picture-perfect day and night here in Cincinnati. It's been a long time coming, but finally, baseball weather has arrived. Pride of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, Mike Matheny in his 7th season at the helm of the Cardinals. .558 winning percentage for him, and as we talked about in the open, his Cardinals off to a 5-7 start this season. Here's how he'll line them up tonight. Our lineup's brought to you by Nissan. Dexter Fowler will lead off. Tommy Pham batting second. 3, 4, and 5, Matt Carpenter, Marcell Ozuna. First time we see him in a Cardinals uniform, and Jose Martinez. Behind the plate, Yadier Molina, Paul DeYoung at shortstop, Colton Wong batting 8th, playing second base, and on the mound, right-hander Michael Wacha. For the Reds, it's Sal Romano making his third start of the season and his first ever appearance against the Cardinals.
Well, you know, maybe he doesn't understand the rivalry that's at stake here when the Reds take on the Cardinals. It's a battle that's gone back and forth for a long time. The Cardinals just dominated the Reds, whether the games were played in Cincinnati or whether they were over there at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. But I think a lot of the luster is off this Cardinal ball club the last couple of years. So Romano comes in with a situation where he doesn't know anything about the history. He does know a lot about the players going over the scouting report, and basically you've got a lot of right-handers in this lineup. Those are the guys that have the most power. Fowler can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but he likes to keep the ball down. Romano does. His slider, fastball, that'll be the combination he'll go to the most tonight.
Fowler's in the box. We're ready to go. And first pitch in there for a called strike. Bill Miller behind the home plate, calling balls and strikes. He's the crew chief. Angel Hernandez at first. Todd Tishner second base. Alan Porter umpiring third base. Counts 1-1 to Fowler, who's off to a slow start. Just a 152 batter is Dexter Fowler. And you've seen a lot of low averages all over Major League Baseball. And the Cardinals are no different, as you'll see as we go through the lineup.
You know, I think the cold weather has something to do with that. I know that there are some pitchers that are complaining about the cold weather, but I really believe the advantage is with the pitcher if he can get a good enough feel on the ball to throw strikes.
Swing and a miss.
Nasty.
Count evens at 2-2.
That's the go-to pitch for Sal Romano, and if he makes himself into a bona fide major league starter, this is why he's going to be able to do it. 96 on the knees with some action.
Count holds at 2-2. This Cardinals team 5-7 record, coming off of a homestand they like to forget. 2-4 homestand. Milwaukee took 2 out of 3 from them. And trying to get back to the playoffs, it has been a drought that Cardinals fans are not used to. As Romano misses up and away and the count's full. This Cardinals team has missed the playoffs 2 straight years. And for most organizations, that's not a significant drought. Payoff pitch to Fowler up the middle into center field, a base hit.
Well, Fowler accomplished a lot actually in that at bat. Ran the count out and then got on base.
Here's our 4 defensive lineup for the Reds, and it's a different look tonight, particularly with Votto not in there. Jesse Winker in left field, Hamilton in center, Phillip Ervin in right field. Across the infield, Blandino getting his second start of his career. Peraza at short, Scooter Gennett at second base. Adam Duvall moves from the outfield to first base, replacing Joey Votto, and Tucker Barnhart hanging the signs. Here's Tommy Pham, 256 start to the season for Pham. And we mentioned the playoff drought of the Cardinals. Since 2000, they've only been shut out of the playoffs in back-to-back years one other time, 2007 and 2008. So this is unfamiliar territory of late for Cardinals fans, and you better believe that Mike Matheny's on the hot seat. There's a tapper towards Blandino, off-balance throw, and gets the out. Fowler on to second base.
Now that's 1 down and 1 to go, and what I mean by that is that Blandino gets a ground ball here in the first inning, get a little bit of the jitters away from you right there. He's only started 1 other ball game, and that was over in Philadelphia. The other guy that could use a ground ball early on would be Adam Duvall at first base. Very capable defender. He's a good athlete. He used to play shortstop in high school, third base in college, so he can handle the infield, but still in all, you want to get that first one under your belt.
And here's one of the few lefties in the lineup, true left-handed hitter that is, that being Matt Carpenter. Carpenter, it was an un-Carpenter-like 2017 season, and he's off to a slow start again here in 2018. There you see the numbers, just 175, couple of home runs and 6 RBIs though. His on-base percentage is Carpenter-like, 346. He'll be a guy that will work the count and will draw some walks.
Well, that 346 on base percentage you talk about, Jim, you know, sounds pretty good, but if the season were to end today, that would be the lowest on base percentage that Matt Carpenter has had in quite a long time, actually since his rookie year in 2011.
He is an on-base machine. He works the count as well as anybody in the league.
2-0 pitch. This is outside, and it's 3-0. So Romano ran the count full to Fowler and paid for it, and now he falls behind 3-0 here to Carpenter. Sal trying to get out of the first inning unscathed, which would be a huge step in the right direction. Fastball in for a strike. 95 on the gun.
You know, if you notice, almost every pitch that Sal Romano has thrown fastball-wise has been within 2 miles an hour of each other velocity. 95 or 96, 95 or 96. And, you know, sometimes it's good to begin to change speeds on your fastball, not only your breaking ball.
3-1. Called strike, says Bill Miller. Carpenter was on his way to first base, and now the count is full.
That was all theater here on the part of Carpenter. I mean, he probably knows that's a strike. And he's not one bit afraid of hitting with 2 strikes on him.
Another 3-2 count. And here comes. Fouled out of play. We talked about working the count, and you can just book it that Matt Carpenter is going to be amongst the league leaders.
Well, the only way you do that is if you're able to be comfortable when you're behind the count, because if you take a lot of pitches, and pitchers know that, they're going to try to pound the strike zone early on you.
Do the 3-2 again. This is outside, and trouble a brewing. First and second, only 1 out.
Well, it puts back into play a double play situation. Romano, the one thing when you have a sinker ball pitcher like Romano, you're always thinking in the back of your mind, this guy's 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning. Throw a nice little sinking fastball, have a right-handed hitter like Ozuna work over the top of it, get you a 5-4-3 double play, and everybody heads to the dugout.
Now we'll get our first look at Marcell Ozuna in a Cardinals uniform. The offseason acquisition coming over from the Marlins, and he's the only player in this Cardinals lineup that Romano has faced. 2 plate appearances, 0 for 1 and a walk against Romano. One of the few Cardinals off to a hot start as far as average goes. You just saw a 308, a home run, 7 RBIs. He is riding a 10-game hitting streak. Swing and lifted into left center field. Hamilton calls off Winker. Second out. Big out for Romano.
First baseman, number 38.
And now Jose Martinez. Martinez, a big right-handed hitter, playing first base tonight, off to a 308 start, couple of home runs and a team leading 8 RBIs. 2 outs, runners on first and second. Game 1 of 4, Reds and Cardinals. Great American Ballpark. Well, you hate to say that this is a big at bat in the game. We are only in the top of the first, but for Sal Romano, this is a big at bat.
Well, he struggles a little bit in the first inning, and I think a lot of that has to do with emotions of you know, getting out on a major league mound and trying to control that heartbeat is sometimes the toughest thing for a young pitcher to do.
A 1 pitch into right field, a base hit. Charging is Irvin. They're going to send around the runner. Irvin boots it, and scoring easily will be Fowler on to third base. Goes Matt Carpenter, and the Cardinals off to a 1-0 lead.
I know. Thank you.
That's a pretty good bit of hitting, really, for Jose Martinez. He's been watching from the dugout and then the on-deck circle. The ball elevated a little bit, and if you're going to take a pitch the other way, it can be on the inner part of the plate. It's more difficult to do it the lower it is, but that pitch, when you get around the thigh high and you're thinking about using the whole field, that's why he was able to shoot that ball to right and pick up an RBI.
Second hit of the innings, credit an RBI to Martinez and an E9 on Irvin, allowing the runner to go to third. And here's Yadier Molina back after serving a one-game suspension. He served it yesterday in that incident Sunday against Arizona. With umpire Tim Timmons. And if you follow baseball, you've probably seen it. Torey Lovello was thrown out of the game arguing balls and strikes for the Diamondbacks, and came out and said something derogatory, according to Molina, about Molina, and the two had to be separated, and caught in the middle was Tim Timmons. And Major League Baseball instituted a one-game suspension, which Molina originally appealed. He dropped the appeal yesterday and served it.
Well, Molina's another one of those who's not above shooting the ball to right field. He's got a big space on the right side of the Reds infield to do that.
First and third, 2 outs. And already that pitch count at 24 here in the top of the first for Sal Romano.
You know the old saying, if you don't get out of the first inning, the pitch count doesn't mean anything.
(3-1). And again, a full count. Molina often booed here at Great American Ballpark, but he likes hitting here. A .319 career batter. That is second amongst all active players in Major League Baseball in this ballpark. Payoff pitch. Up the middle, base hit. Run scores. Man goes to third. It's 2-0 Cardinals. A hard hit ball by Yadier Molina.
Well, a hard hit ball, and certainly a lot of pitches in this inning, as you mentioned, Jim, but also a lot of pitches at the same speed. And you just can't keep firing fastballs in there, especially in that part of the zone, even at 96 miles an hour. That's hitting speed nowadays.
And this will warrant a trip by pitching coach Mac Jenkins to the mound. Try to settle down his young right-hander.
And really, the whole challenge for Romano right now is just get out of the first inning here. Make some good pitches right here. From the first pitch that you throw to this next hitter, you think about getting out of this inning. Get it down around the knees. Stay on top of your breaking ball. Don't try to overthrow everything. Your stuff is good enough to pitch up here, young man, but you've got to have confidence in it.
Still work to do. First and third, 2 outs. Here's Paul DeYoung. First pitch strike. I've talked to Sal about changing speeds, and it's one thing he'd like to work on, and he constantly says that when I get in trouble, I overthrow.
And it's so natural to do that because you know why he's in the major leagues? Because he's a big guy and he throws hard.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to teach a young guy to back off, because when you back off a little bit, you don't feel like you're trying 100%. And if you get hit, you say, well, why didn't I try harder?
Flair into right field. Coming on to grab it is Irvin. And Romano strands 2, but he gives up 2. 2-0 Cardinals. Reds coming up. first cracks at Michael Walker tonight, and here's how Brian Price will line them up. Billy Hamilton back in the leadoff spot tonight. Jose Peraza batting second. Jesse Winker batting third tonight. If you're just joining us, Joey Votto just a standard day off today. Adam Duvall back cleanup. Jeanette at second base batting fifth. Phillip Ervin. Tucker Barnhart batting seventh. Alex Blandino in the 8th spot. And Sal Romano on the hill. Our lineup's brought to you by Nissan. Michael Walker, ton of success against the Reds over his career.
Yeah, 8 wins and 14 starts. That's an excellent rate right there, especially when you compare it to only 1 loss. On the year, though, not been so easy for Walker. Look at the 9 innings pitched plus and 7 walks. He's had some shoulder problems in the past. They hope that he is healthy. When he is healthy, good downward playing on the fastball. His second best pitch is a changeup.
So Hamilton back in the leadoff spot after batting 9th, primarily on the road trip. Switch hitter batting from the left-hand side against Walker. .2-0 pitch. Billy squares around again, pulls it back, and he's worked the count to 3-0. A couple of games ago, Hamilton walked twice, which we rarely see in a game for Billy, and scored one of those times in Philadelphia. Way high, and the guy you don't want to walk draws a leadoff walk.
Well, Walker's been around so long. I'm still amazed that he's only 26 years old, but you've got to call him a veteran. He's been in postseason games. He's been around a long time, both out of the bullpen as a starter. But you know, when you've got Billy Hamilton up there and all you're really trying to do is throw strikes and you're not even able to come close to the strike zone, something's going on.
All right, here we go. Hamilton v. Molina. This is one of the premier individual matchups that we've enjoyed over the last few seasons. 59 steals a year ago for Billy. He's got 4 this season. He's yet to be caught stealing. And he's had a ton of success. One of the very few guys that have had success stealing bases off of Yadier Molina. 24 of them. In the last 50 years, the only Red with more stolen bases versus a catcher than Hamilton's 24 versus Molina, the great Joe Morgan. 30 off of Dave Rader. 28 versus Ted Simmons, and 25 versus Steve Yeager.
Well, of course, when you're talking about stolen bases and success versus failure of stolen bases, there's one other factor that's involved, and that's the pitcher. And probably the most important factor in whether a guy gets a good jump or not. And last year, Walker was not good at all. 14 stolen bases, only 3 caught stealing. So the league has figured his move out.
Roll over.
All right, so that shows me Billy is just about where he needs to be on the lead. He dives back. He's there ahead of the throw. I'm not so sure that Walker has a better move than that last one.
Billy inching out. 1-1 pitch. He doesn't go. This one served into right field. Fair ball. Hamilton on his way to third base. He'll be held there. Peraza on his way to second with a double.
How about Jose Peraza? Classic move right there. End of the bat into right field. He's like, hey,
They all count as hits, right? He hit the ball hard a couple of times in his last few games in Philadelphia. This time barely gets it on the edge of the bat and slices it right over the head of the first baseman. Well, he'll take a couple of hundred of those.
Well, there was no question Hamilton was getting to third. And that ball fell so lightly in right field. By the time Fowler chased it down, Peraza, who has good speed, was on his way to second base. So second and third, nobody out. Here's Jesse Winker.
You know, it had to be a question in Brian Price's mind on those days that you give Joey Votto a day off. Who takes Votto's spot in the number 3 spot? That's a pretty big accolade right now to heap on a young man like Jesse Winker. I think he's capable.
Well, he's got the on-base percentage to rival Votto. And if you talk on-base percentage with him and bring Votto up in the same sentence, he will put a halt to the conversation, right? He's like, hold up now. Don't put me in the sentence with Joey Votto. Don't even think about putting me in the same sentence with Joey Votto. Winker does lead the team with 8 walks, and he shoots one into left field. That's an RBI hit, and it gets past the left fielder. Here comes Peraza. It's a tie game, and Winker rounds second and holds up. So an RBI hit by Winker and an error to allow the second runner to score. We are tied at 2.
We've seen some sloppy outfield play already, and here we are only in the bottom of the first inning. Winker, a little inside-out job. That reminds me a lot of Sean Casey right there, just the way he approaches his business. And Ozuna's thinking about maybe throwing somebody out, and he takes a chance. The ball jumps up on him and allows another run to score and Winker to get to second base. So with nobody out, the Reds still have something going on.
Here's Adam Duvall.
Appeal to third is not successful for the Cardinals.
So credit Winker with an RBI single. The error allows him to go to second and allows the second run to score. All right, let's see if Duvall can get going here. It's been a slow start to the season average wise. That might be an understatement of the year. And the numbers don't lie, but he's got 7 RBIs to lead the team. Got one sitting out there at second base. Cardinals get 2 in the top of the first, and the Reds answer and hoping for more.
You know, when you start slumping as a hitter, it's natural to want to hit your way out of that slump. But the problem with that attitude is that you begin to expand the strike zone, start chasing pitchers' pitches. So the best advice, and Adam knows this, is just make the pitcher throw you something you can handle.
Good numbers against the Cardinals' career. Hitters count 2-1, and he fouls it off. It was a windy day here in the Queen City. Temperatures in the mid-70s. The wind has died down some, but it's still, per usual, blowing out towards left center field. Coming off the river and blowing at a pretty good clip. Look at that Ohio flag. Three-two count. Three-two pitch from Waka. Hit hard. Carpenter scoops it up at third base for out number 1. Here's your Ford defensive lineup for the Cardinals. Around the outfield, Ozuna in left, Pham in center, Dexter Fowler in right field. Left to right around the infield, Carpenter, DeYoung, Wong, Martinez, and Yadier Molina behind the plate.
Do you need any more evidence to say that baseball is just not fair? I mean, by far, the ball that Duvall hit was the hardest ball hit by the Reds. It turns into an out. Winker bloops one in. Peraza hits one off the end of the bat, and they both get base hits.
Here's Scooter Gennett, who swings and misses at the first pitch, and it was a barrel full of emotions last night for Scooter Gennett in Philadelphia. Nearly had 2 home runs. One just missed going out. It was a double. The other one was robbed in center field by Herrera. And then in extra innings makes the error that leads to the loss. He went from high of highs to low of lows, and he was a stand-up guy after the game and talking to the media. He said, listen, I made the error in the extra innings. That run scored. This loss is on me. He's behind in the count, 0-2. 2 outs. And if the Reds are going to do more damage, it'll be up to Phillip Ervin. And Phillip Ervin, if the scouting report holds true, will be served up a heavy dose of breaking balls. Small sample size in his young major league career. He's proven he can hit a fastball. He can turn on it. He looks at one at 96 right there. Still working on the old number 2. One and 2 the count. So walk, double, RBI single, air. 2 runs in the inning for the Reds. Up the middle, glove by Walker. But the Reds get 2. After 1 inning of play, we are tied at 2.
So I'm going to be pitching for her and, for my Uncle Tim and the girls, Kelly, Erica, and Nicole. So, it's going to be, emotional game for me. But, no matter what, I know she'll be proud. And, hopefully I can give a team a chance to win tomorrow and go from there.
That was an emotional Sal Romano as I talked to him yesterday in Philadelphia prior to tonight's start. And he was very close with his, as he calls her, Auntie Martha, Martha M. Brooks. And here's a tweet from Sal Romano. Rest in peace, Auntie Martha. Tomorrow I pitch for you and your wonderful family. Rest easy. Martha Brooks was only 50 years of age. And we certainly send out our condolences, our thoughts and prayers to the Romano family and the Brooks family as Romano gets Colton Wong to strike out here in the second. So Sal trying to settle down, pitching for Auntie Martha tonight. And now he'll face his counterpart in Michael Walker, career .079 hitter. 0 for 4 this season. wearing that face guard. We're seeing a lot more players go into these face guards.
I think the entire Cardinal team has adopted that look. I think it's something that you add on once you get the order of helmets, although I think maybe the helmet manufacturer now is putting those on at the factory.
Yeah, at some point it's going to be a standard issue. Which helmet do you want? Face guard or no face guard?
Or face guard or face guard.
Yeah. I'd wear it.
I mean, why not? And I'd imagine it takes some getting used to. You know, an example of that is Scott Schubler telling me the other day. I said, now that you've been hitting the elbow, you're going to wear an elbow pad. He said, absolutely.
Yep.
He says, you know, I'm going to have to wear it in batting practice to get used to it, just like the ankle guard that he wears. It took him a long time to figure out that it would feel good. Now, if he doesn't wear it, it feels awkward.
Right. Swing and a miss, back-to-back punch out for Romano. And speaking of Martha Brooks, Sal also has an MB written on his hat, as you see it right there. So pitching with a heavy heart tonight. And his offense backed him up with 2 in the bottom of the first. So we are tied at 2 here. 2 outs into the top of the second. With Chris Welsh, I'm Jim Day. Thanks for joining us for Reds Baseball. Now we'll flip it back to the top, and Dexter Fowler. Fowler singled his first time up and scored one of the 2 Cardinal runs. Pitch in for a strike. Top of the strike zone. Painted the corner at that. Just misses outside, and the count's 3 balls and a strike. Speaking of Schebler, he's going to resume baseball activity today. And they said they've made headway with that ulnar nerve after getting hit by a pitch. There's a ball lifted to the left side. Winker's under it. A 1-2-3 second inning for Sal Romano. Tied at 2 at Great American Ballpark. Gold Glove bobblehead thanks to Coca-Cola. Reds and Cardinals, you can see it for as low as $12. For tickets, visit Reds.com. As the aforementioned Barnhart will lead off in the bottom of the second. He gets Michael Waka. First pitch breaking ball at 74 in for a strike. Barnhart, Blandino, Romano here in the second for the Reds. Tucker off to a .296 average to start the season. Home run, 2 RBIs. We've talked about this before. His standing amongst the team and the league has just risen since winning the Gold Glove.
You know,
he downplays it.
Yeah, I think the Gold Glove is just basically the physical show that he is where he is. But you know, if you talk to the opposition, you talk to a lot to our players, Jim. They know what they have in Barnhart, but the umpires feel the same way. I mean, they love catching or umpiring when Tucker Barnhart is catching.
There's a ground ball towards the second baseman. 1 out.
And I would imagine that every game that Tucker Barnhart catches in which Yadier Molina is sharing that catcher space every other half inning is special to Barnhart, because he grew up idolizing this guy, and now he's the Gold Glove holder, and that's got to seem like almost surreal for Barnhart.
That was one of his biggest thrills last year, was edging out Yadier Molina. Fowler chasing it, has to elude his second baseman, catches it in foul territory as Blandino's retired on 1 pitch. And last year, I did a sideline report with Molina, who had said, listen, this guy is really good, was praising Barnhart and said he's going to win a Gold Glove one day. I'm not sure he knew it was going to be a couple months later.
He probably thought, when I retire, he'll win a Gold Glove.
Exactly, because there was a string there that was like, okay, when is anyone going to beat out Yadier Molina for the Gold Glove? And the fact that Barnhart did that over one of his idols just made the thrill even bigger. But his standing amongst clubhouse, around the league, I mean, we've even seen him do more commercials, endorsements, more interviews. It's just gone full circle for him, and well deserved. He is such a likable guy. So the righty throwing, lefty batting Sal Romano. Counts 1-2. Swing and a miss. So after both pitchers give up 2 in the first, both come back with a 1-2-3 second. We're off to the third.
MLB history brought to you by Geico. Our very own Chris Welsh made his MLB debut. That was April 12th, 1981 for the San Diego Padres. But also on this day, if you fast forward to 1986, he signed with our Cincinnati Reds, becoming a hometown hero. Mr. Chris Welsh, what do you have to say about that?
Well, thank you, Shannon. Boy, in 1981 and 1986 seems like a long time ago, probably even longer for you since you weren't around back in those days. But, you know, the detail that you left out about the Reds is that I signed with the Reds, yes, but then it was immediately sent to Denver, their AAA team, where to be later called up a few weeks later on. But that was a big moment for me. Hometown boy signing with your hometown team, nothing like it.
How about that? 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Signs on the dotted line with the Reds and made it up to the big club. It was a short AAA stint, right?
Yeah.
In Denver?
Yeah, it was.
Made it back up to the big club where he'd already pitched in the bigs. Peraza charging, firing.
You know, that was the year, Jim, that I started 25 games for the Reds that year in 1986. And it was the last year that Pete Rose was a player. He was a player manager that year, and Pete played himself about half the time. So when that combination worked out, when I started and Pete played first base, we had 6 players on the field who all went to high school in Cincinnati.
Wow.
And that is that's an unusual circumstance.
Let's see, 86. Was Ronnie O in second
definitely.
base?
I get the feeling I'm going to have to help you out here.
No, I'm going to go with Larkin.
Good.
You, Pete Rose at first. Was Buddy Bell on that squad?
He was at third base. You better believe it.
And
playing very deep when I pitched, by the way.
How about the Cobra? Was he on that team?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was it. Those are the 6. And, boy, what an honor it was to play with, you know, not only Pete Rose, but the Cobra and Buddy Bell. I mean, these guys.
That's big time.
Incredible players.
Yeah. How about that? I mean, I couldn't imagine standing on the mound and you're a lefty. You're staring right at Pete Rose holding a runner on, which I'm sure you did a lot.
Yeah. He didn't have far to come when he made a trip to the mound.
I'm kidding, of course. And by the way, that's 2 days before your birthday that you signed with the Reds. So what a birthday present.
It was a good birthday present, no doubt.
That is awesome. Count is 1-2 to Matt Carpenter. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Romano.
And all of a sudden, Romano just looks much more relaxed. He doesn't seem like he's firing off the mound with brute force like he did in the first inning. And it happens so many times. That's a little put away curveball. Perfect spot right there. One thing that Carpenter does not do very often. Strike out.
Now with 2 outs, Marcell Ozuna trying to extend his 10-game hitting streak. He started the season 0 for 8 and then went on a tear. That 10-game hitting streak is tied for first in the National League of current streaks. Look out. Opened some eyes when the Cardinals acquired Ozuna. One pitch. Hit well. Left center field. Goodbye. Cardinals retake the lead. Second home run of the season for Ozuna.
Sal Romano is going to look back at this video and he's going to say, oh man, how did I throw the ball up there to Marcell Ozuna? He was all over it. And you know, you can blame yourself for that if you're Romano, and he certainly hung one for him. But solo home runs are just a fact of the game nowadays. These guys are trying to hit the ball in the air. The ball is hot, hotter than it's been in years. You're better off when you keep the ball down, but as long as there's nobody on base, not all that harmful.
go. You get the ball in the air tonight to left center field, it's going to go. Wind continues to blow hard that way. And as I say that, it dies down. That's a reverse announcer jinx, even though I don't believe in jinxes. But I hear a lot about them. Two-one pitch to Jose Martinez. 3-1. In the air, right center field. To the track as Irvin leaps up and he caught it. Phillip Irvin does Sal Romano a favor. Nicely done. Download Beat the Streak today. I have that app. I've played it many times. All right, Votto not in the starting lineup tonight, but giving kudos to Phillip Irvin. All righty. Irvin with a really nice catch to end the third inning. Now Winker wants some of this action too. Winker's like the punching bag on the team, by the way. Man, they're all over his case all the time. I mean all the time. I think he enjoys it. 2-1 pitch to Billy Hamilton. Hamilton walked in the first and scored. So the Iron Man streak, at least this streak, is over for Joey Votto. He appeared in the last 202 games. That's appearances, just not starting tonight as Hamilton shoots one the other way. Nice to see.
You know, when Hamilton does this, it just looks so easy, and you ask yourself, well, Billy, why don't you do that more? Why don't you just try to slap the ball? And believe me, he's trying. And he's been able to get on base. You've mentioned the walks are up recently. He's been on base twice in 2 plate appearances tonight. And now more headaches for Michael Wacha.
All right, here we go again. I love this matchup, Hamilton versus Molina. Billy got on in the first, did not attempt to steal. We'll see what happens here.
I think this is a great combination for a hit and run right here. I know Billy Hamilton can steal. But Peraza, I mean, you take a lot of pressure off a hitter when you put the hit and run on.
Had him leaning a bit.
And I'm not really sure that Wacha has strikeout stuff. There are certain guys that you may not want to do that with. You know, Max Scherzer comes to mind, Steven Strasburg, guys that are going to pile up the strikeouts. But Wacha has become now a contact pitcher. So why not?
But not in time. Jose Peraza is probably the best bunter on this team.
And they're taking advantage of a guy that played first base all last year, has been plagued with shoulder problems the last few seasons, and just really doesn't have a very good arm for a third baseman. And he makes the best play he can, Matt Carpenter does, but Peraza just does this picture perfect. Waits till the last moment, shortens up, gets it down the line, and I mean, he gets out of the box lickety-split.
Billy liked it. Why not? First pitch inside to Jesse Winker. Winker, excuse me, an RBI single in the first. And a second run came around and scored Jose Peraza on the air by Marcell Ozuna. Trailing 3-2. First and second, nobody out. Two and out. So 2 hits in the inning. Hamilton single, Peraza bunt single. It's nice to be sitting up here without a heater. You know what I mean? It's rough,
I know what you mean.
Rough start to the season, man.
I traveled that little space heater everywhere I went.
Yeah. You poodles up here in the booth. We're
I'm proud of it. You need
warm and toasty. That's don't worry about the sideline guy down there. Last road trip. Yeah. Right.
Well, you look like you're going on an Arctic expedition.
I did. It was all about the layers, man. I mean, that one night in Pittsburgh, I think I had 3 coats on. Winter boots. First time I've ever worn winter boots at a baseball game. 2-2 pitch to Winker. Counts run to 3-2. Runners in scoring position. Jesse Winker to a .667 start, tied for first in the league. Strike 3 call.
You wonder who was going to win out in this one. Who would make the pitch? That's a pretty good changeup right there with a lot of action. You can see it coming off his hand. He kind of pronates, turns his hand over so his pinky finger ends up on top. And the hold of exclamation point by Yadier Molina.
He's such a good framer of pitches behind the plate. He won't try to fool the umpire much.
You know, framing, I heard, I read something in spring training, Jim, I thought was funny about framing. Two scouts talking about catchers that were good at framing and one wasn't. And it came down to, well, the guy that's good at framing, he's a lot nicer to the umpires. And you wonder if that has something to do with it. I mean, umpires are human beings, right? I mean, if you get a catcher that is, you know, chewing on your ear the whole night, every time you're behind the plate.
Francisco Cervelli comes to mind.
And then you have another guy who's like nice and free and easy to get along with, and blocks the ball so the umpire doesn't get hit.
Well, I think in reading some of the altercations Sunday that Torey Lovello and Molina had, Lovello was complaining that Molina gets all the calls. I think that was part of it.
Well, that's news to Lovello. Where's he been?
I know.
Has he been living in a cave for the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Because that's about how long Molina has been getting all the calls.
Well, he's had some pretty good pitchers to catch as well. But you guys are making some good points about Alfaro with the Phillies. Exaggerated framing of pitches, almost too much so. In the last series against the Phillies.
You know, here's the way you describe the physical part of framing a pitch. You want your glove to get to the spot where you're going to catch the pitch in the middle of your glove before the ball gets there, so that you're waiting for the ball. If you wait till the last second, if your glove is right down the middle and the pitch is on the outside and you jab to go get it, that's when it appears the umpire is never going to give you that pitch, because you're pushing the glove away from the strike zone. You want it happening the other way. And basically it means getting to the spot early and catching it with soft hands. I just don't think we're quite to the point where we can start judging who's a good framer and who's not.
3-0 to Duvall, and it misses. And the bases are full. The Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game. Polly Hager of Belfry, Kentucky will win this beautiful new Tundra on display. Great American Ballpark, thanks to Cincinnati. Thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. All right, big situation here for Scooter Gennett. Bases loaded, 1 out. Reds trailing by a run. Second walk of the game for Michael Wacha. And a first pitch strike to Scooter. What a season he had last year. 4 grand slams, a new franchise record in a single season. Way out in front. And one of those grand slams last year, of course, came in that unbelievable 4-home run game versus these very own Cardinals. A night we'll never forget. Fouls it off to stay alive. Blocked by Molina, saves a run. Gennett now wearing number 3 for his man Dale Earnhardt Sr. Trying to be the intimidator right here, but facing an 0-2 count again. 1-2 count, I should say, and into center field, a base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Peraza, and the Reds have taken the lead. The Intimidator it is.
Goes out and gets a pitcher's pitch right there. Walker looking for a ground ball. He's hoping that Scooter Jeanette's kind of roll over on that and give him a 4-6-3 double play and get out of this inning. But instead, a line drive into center field. The 2 speedy runners on base come around no problem, but the Reds still have first and third and 1 out.
Phillip Ervin at the dish. Swinging into left field. Coming on is Ozuna. And it's shallow enough that Duvall didn't even think about tagging him. 2 outs. And now Tucker Barnhart hit from the left side. Lefties were 2 for 19 versus Walker coming into tonight. So far, 3 for 6. Taking a 4-3 lead and would love to add to it. They need a 2-out hit from Tucker Barnhart. Tucker grounded out his first time up. And 2. The ball at third. Jeanette at first. Oh, 2 pitch. There goes Jeanette from first. Throw down. They got him caught up now. Here comes Duvall to the plate. Molina drops the ball, and getting back safely is Duvall. A rare mistake by Yadier Molina.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets tagged with an error on this or not. As it turns out, Jeanette will end up with a stolen base, but if Molina just simply cleanly fields that ball, they have got Duvall hung out to dry between home and third.
Second and third now. Let's see if Barnhart can make him pay for it. Look at it. 2-2.
You know, if you're watching Walker, you're seeing that his velocity is plenty fine. I mean, he's throwing as high as 95 or 96 miles an hour. His changeup looks good from time to time, but he's not really on his game as far as command at all. When he misses, he is missed by a lot.
Payoff pitch. Bases loaded again.
And when he's really wanted to throw a strike, he hasn't been able to throw a strike. And that is something that you're really not too used to. But the numbers that we showed you about Walker coming into this ball game, 7 walks in 9 innings. I mean, it's got a little foundation.
Third walk of the night will bring the new Cardinals pitching coach Mike Maddox to the hill.
Kind of interesting, really. It wasn't really orchestrated as a trade, but it turned out that way. The Cardinals' old pitching coach, Derek Lilliquist, ended up going to Washington. And the Washington Nationals' old pitching coach, Mike Maddox, ends up in St. Louis. Maddox was cut loose when Dusty Baker was cut loose. Of course, everybody knows his brother.
Pretty good bloodlines as far as pitching goes.
Well, Mike Maddox is one of the most respected pitching coaches out there.
Bases loaded, 2 outs for Alex Blandino. This would be a good time to come up with that first big league knock. 0 for 5 in his young career. Trying to add to a 4-3 lead. Blandino, 25 years of age, 6 foot 190, born in Palo Alto, California. A Stanford Cardinal. He was the 29th overall selection back in 2014 for the Reds. Dino didn't like it, but Fox Track says yes. 1-2 pitch. Ripped. Right at Carpenter. Step on third base. The Reds strand 3, but they've taken a 4-3 lead. Reds Live gets it kicked off at 6 o'clock with the game to follow right here in Fox Sports Ohio. You can stream it on Fox Sports Go. April on the OHIO, presented by Menards. And once again, please note that start time, as in April and September, Reds experimenting with a 6:40 first pitch, which I like, really like. Youngsters like that get a half-hour head start at getting home and getting to bed on a school night. All right, here's Sal Romano versus Yadier Molina. The Reds have given Romano a 1-run lead. Let's see what he can do with it.
Well, he's retired 7 out of the last 8 that he has faced. The one that he did not was the home run by Ozuna.
Molina RBI single, first time up. Irvin. 1 out. Big happy birthday wish tonight, Chris Welsh, to Hobart Worley down in Sarasota, Florida.
All right.
Happy 90th birthday. His family from Dayton went down to Sarasota to take in the birthday, and they're all watching the Reds game tonight. Hobart Worley, happy birthday.
They might be watching it on Fox Sports Go.
Might be.
Great way to pick up every game. That if you're not sitting in front of your own TV, you can pick it up on your handheld device.
Thanks for being a Reds fan. Hope you're having a great birthday, and hope the family's enjoying it down there in Sarasota. 2 outs. As you enjoy a Miller Lite, Chris, look forward to the whole true moment later in tonight's game. I kid.
Are you allowed to ad-lib those like that?
I just did.
Well, it looks like Sal Romano's doing a little ad-libbing of his own. He's taking a little bit off that fastball. That last one at 92 had a little extra movement downward, got a nice easy ground ball, and you know, all you really have to do is look into the Cardinal dugout and see Mike Maddox in there and remind yourself of what the philosophy of his brother Greg had, which was 3 pitches or fewer to every hitter.
Grounder just foul. Pitch to contact.
Pitch to contact almost sounds like a way out, you know, but I like the idea of 3 pitches or less, because you're really going to be aggressive. Because if you miss with the first one, you're throwing a strike with the second one. If you're 2-0, now you really know, and if you're going to get a 3 pitches or less, you have to throw a strike on this one.
Here comes the 2-1. 2-2. Both teams scored 2 in the first. The Cardinals 1 in the third. The Reds answer with 2 in the home half of the third. Sal was on his way to the dugout. Bill Miller said, "Hold up, big fella." And he misses outside. 2-out walk to Colton Wong ahead of the pitcher.
See, I think that's an at bat for Sal Romano that simply got away from him right there. With the pitcher coming up next, I mean, you really want Walker leading the inning off next inning. So you've got Colton Wong with 2 strikes, and you walk him on a breaking ball. I like the idea of throwing something you can throw for a strike right there, and throw it every time for a strike, and that's more likely the fastball than not. Wong's batting 8th for a reason.
Romano ahead 0-2. Pitch count now at 70 for Sal. First time Romano facing the Cardinals in his career, and he hopes it's the first time of many. Pitcher v. pitcher, and a 1-2 count. Ground ball right side. Duvall taking himself. And we're off to the bottom of the 4th. Reds with a 1-run lead. and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Beautiful night downtown Cincinnati, Great American Ballpark. First of 4 versus the Cardinals, and the Reds with a 4-3 lead over their division rivals. Alongside Chris Welsh and Shannon Ford, I'm Jim Day. Thanks for joining us. Sal Romano will lead off here in the bottom of the 4th for the Reds as Michael Wacha completing his warm-up pitches. As he was the last man to hit in the top of the 4th for the Cardinals. Romano struck out swinging his first time up. He is 1 for 28 in his career as a big league hitter. Counts 1-1. Swing and a miss. Two pitch. Foul. .6'5", 215 is Michael Wacha. He was a first-round pick back in 2012, 19th overall. Born in Iowa City, Iowa. He's got a Reds connection. His uncle Dusty Rogers was a Reds first-round draft pick in 1984. That was back in the Chris Welsh era. And his uncle Dusty Rogers played in the Reds minor league organization for 5 seasons from 1984 to 1988. Ronald stays alive.
I've never heard that referred to as a Chris Welsh era, but thank you very much.
I need
even
you
in my own household.
I need you, partner. We're building you up here tonight. Down goes Romano. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Now I'm sure back at South Florida, it was the Chris Welsh era, St. X, Chris Welsh era. We're going with it.
It depends how you pronounce that. I think it's more likely to have sounded like Chris Welsh error.
A walk, a single, and 2 runs for Billy Hamilton back at the top of the order, and that's just what the doctor ordered.
And he's getting that curveball going now. Walker in the first inning really had just no feel for the curveball at all. You stay stubborn with it, you keep throwing it, and maybe eventually it comes your way.
Strike 3 called.
A little bit of a delay right there by Bill Miller. Billy feels it was down below the bottom of the hollow of the knees right there, but not worth hanging around and making an argument out of it.
Take a look.
You be the judge right there. If any part of that baseball crosses any part of the plate at the hollow of the knees or above,
now that was an exaggerated frame job by Molina.
It was also a pitch that was low, and it was pretty much down the middle, and that's a difficult pitch for the umpire to see. We were talking the other night, Jim, I think when you were doing the sideline work, that the umpire is getting what you call the slot, which is about the halfway point between the catcher and the batter. So they're always on the inside, and they want to get close so that they see that pitch. But sometimes you're still obscured a little bit, blocked out just a little bit, by the catcher, especially on a low pitch. Bill Miller's been around a while. 50 years old. He's been in a couple of World Series. A lot of playoff games.
1, 2, 3, 4th for Waka. Reds with a 4-3 lead.
Here, and let me tell you, it's pretty state-of-the-art. The view of the ballpark is unbelievable, as well as that iconic Great American Insurance building. They've got chargers out here. I'm making some friends with these fans. They're asking me if I want to join them for a drink. There's charging stations, and I'll tell you what, Chris and Jim, this bud is for you.
Very nice.
Well, save some of that liquid refreshment for us, will you, Shannon?
After the game, it's hard enough for me to formulate complete sentences without. But you know, I've heard rave reviews, and she's in a good spot because tough play, and it's not made by Peraza. That was an in-between ball.
And it looked like one, though, that had Peraza allowed. I think that he shouldn't have given away to Billy Hamilton. If Hamilton called it at all. I mean, Hamilton kind of called up because it looked like Peraza just had it covered. And, you know, we've seen shortstops, infielders make that play an awful lot. It's just not always as easy as it appears. Although I never saw Brandon Phillips drop one probably in 10 years. And it's so easy indeed they're going to give him an error. Good call.
One they'd certainly like to have back, and this Reds defense to start the season, it's been a struggle. Ripped up the middle, base hit. Hard hit ball, Tommy Pham. The first two have reached here in the fifth.
My guy came out of nowhere to become one of the best players on this Cardinal team. Tommy Pham did. Almost quit coming out of the minor leagues. He had some sensational minor league years. It did not get called up while he saw all of his teammates getting on that plane to St. Louis. But he hung in there, and he has become a really fine major league player. Hit that ball right back through the box with authority.
Nobody out. Here's Matt Carpenter.
Now this is where Romano has to be very aggressive. Throw strikes right here. Make him put the ball in play. Don't let him work the count into a hitter's count.
Throw down to second base.
Because Carpenter will do that. I mean, you look up and all of a sudden you'll be in a 2-0 or 3-1 count. You pick your best pitch, you take a little bit off, you throw it right at the knees.
pitch.
Same pitch that they rung up Billy Hamilton on, and if Bill Miller's going to give that low pitch to a sinker ball pitcher like Romano, that's the kind of night you're looking for.
You don't mind him if they're going both ways. If he's consistent in calling the low pitch, hitters need to adjust on a particular night. Carpenter, one of the few with no batting gloves whatsoever. First and second, nobody out. One-run game. Romano with another long look into Barnhart. Look back, and now he brings a 2-1. Check swing. 3-1. You mentioned Carpenter's batting average, which is low at 171 at the moment. But he had an 11-game on-base streak begin the season, but it ended yesterday. 32 years of age now is Matt Carpenter. Full count. Drew a walk his first time up, did Carpenter. Now has 12 of them on the season. Came in tied for third in the National League in that department. Three-two pitch. Do it again. Seven pitch first at bat, 4 second time up. 6 here in AB number 3. Action in the Reds pen, righty Austin Bryce up and throwing. Count holds at 3-2. 2 on, nobody out. And he walked him. Trouble really a brewing now here in the 5th. Third walk of the night for Romano.
Well, it comes out of decision time too for Brian Price. Now he's warming up Austin Bryce in the bullpen. But he really doesn't want to make a premature decision here and go. So he's going to send his pitching coach, Mac Jenkins, out to the mound to try to settle down Romano a little bit. But you're right here in the meat of the order. Number 4, 5, and 6. Ozuna, Jose Martinez, and Yadier Molina. This is where a pitching coach has got to give a young pitcher a real direct plan. Not just say, hey, let's go after him and get ahead of this hitter and, get a ground ball. I mean, give him something that he can really concrete sink his teeth into, like, all right, we've been over the scouting report with this guy, and you know that he's susceptible to your whatever pitch, fill in the blank. And I want you to go after him, and you throw your best pitch right at the knees right here. And if you miss that one, you come right back and do another one.
Last time up for Marcell Ozuna, solo home run. Bases juiced, nobody out. Average sitting at 315. Out of play, 1-1. Talked about those protectors earlier with Schebler. Ozuna has got the full gamut going on. One on the elbow, one on the leg. One pitch, swing and a miss, pulled the string.
That's a slider right there, and Romano's slider goes straight down, and it's got enough off speed off his fastball, about 10 miles an hour, that he can, it can be very effective just because of the change in speed. That kind of like a changeup. Now you're in control.
Fooled me. I thought it was a changeup.
I would stay right downstairs right here and try to get the ground ball. That's where Barnhart wants it. That was the changeup. I think his changeup is actually harder velocity-wise than his slider or his curveball. I know he has a couple of different types of breaking pitches.
Tough task here. Bases loaded, nobody out. Two-time National League All-Star Marcell Ozuna.
Decision pitch, 2-2.
Count holds at 2-2.
Well, Ozuna was the one to hit the home run, and that was a high fastball that he kind of left it up right around the letters. He does not walk. He strikes out a lot. He's hacking at anything close. That should give you a little extra confidence, Sal.
Big pitch. Here it comes. Swing and a miss. First out of the inning.
Good sequence by Tucker Barnhart back there. I don't think Romano's shaking him off. He's going with what Tucker's calling, and he kept going with that off-speed pitch, knowing that Ozuna just waiting for something straight, and he gets a breaking ball right over the top, goes straight down for him. That's a key out. Now you get a ground ball, and you are out of the inning with no damage.
Standing in his way, Carlos Martinez. Excuse me, Jose Martinez. Don't mix up your Martinezes.
This guy came on the scene basically a relative unknown.
Late bloomer.
Entering the major leagues in 2017 at 28 years old, or 27 years old. In 2016, he was up for just a handful of games with the Cardinals. Did most of his minor league work with the Kansas City Royals, but all over the place though.
Waving that bat ferociously in the box, and back-to-back pitches up and in, and the count's 2 balls and no strikes. Big dude Martinez, 6'7", 230 they list him at.
Only had 300 plate appearances last year, but he put up very good numbers, 14 home runs. And if you're measuring it really tight, he's among the elite with the average exit velocity too.
2-0 pitch, swing and a miss.
Which is another way of saying he hits the ball hard.
Exactly. Strike called. Count evens at 2-2. Once again, hitters not liking that strike zone of Bill Miller. Boy, he waves that bat around in that box. 2-2 pitch. This is inside.
Where the rubber meets the road. 3-2, bases loaded.
Staring into his battery mate, Tucker Barnhart. Now brings that 3-2 pitch. We'll do it again. That one hurt. Martinez will take a little stroll and try to walk it off.
One thing about Romano here in this inning, he's really been able to keep the ball down, and that is a good spot to be.
Go right back there.
Absolutely. That's your best pitch and your best spot.
Walked in a run.
And that will be all for Sal. That's too bad. The inning started with an error on the shortstop, followed up by a base hit, a walk, and a couple more walks, or 2 walks overall, and a short and disappointing night for the Reds' big right-hander.
4th walk of the night results in a run, and we are tied at 4. Brian Price takes the ball, and this is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. at 4, and quite the situation to give the ball to Austin Bryce in.
You got to figure that Yadier Molina at the plate looking for something right down the middle from Austin Bryce here with the bases loaded, knowing Bryce does not want to walk him.
Breaking ball in for a strike.
He's a cinch for a double play if you can get him to hit it on the ground.
The 1 pitch. It's a quick turnaround for Bryce. He suffered last night's 4-3 walk-off loss at Philadelphia, allowing that unearned run in the 12th inning following Scooter Gennett's error. Trying to put that behind him. This is way outside, back-to-back pitches. Molina's driven in 1 of the Cardinals' 4 runs. Ground ball. Could be 2. Gennett, Peraza on to first base. That's a double play. Just in time. Austin Bryce comes in and gets it done. 4-4 game. The Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger Meal Deal, which includes a hot dog, a bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Pepperidge Farm Goldfish. Make sure you get your Kroger Meal Deal today. Austin Bryce came into quite the situation, and Sal Romano says, thanks, brother. Appreciate the pickup. Close the book on Romano, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 of which were earned. 4 walks, which is the blemish on that, beyond the 4 runs, and 4 strikeouts. Reds will try to retake the lead here in the 5th. Winker, Duvall, and Gennett to face Michael Wacha. And Jesse Winker batting in the 3 spot tonight. And there have not been many outside of Joey Votto that have occupied that spot. If you're just joining us, Votto with a night off, standard day off. Brian Price talked about at this point of Votto's career, there's to keep him fresh. We're talking about a guy that played all 162 last year. To keep him fresh, you're going to have to spell him and give him days off. And the Reds got in very late last night from Philadelphia. Very late. And this was the night they chose, at least for his first off day. He had played 1,733 of the Reds' last 1,782 innings in the field. He has been the Iron Man. But at this point of his career, in his mid-30s, you got to spell the guy. You got to keep him fresh. 202 consecutive games played, second longest active streak in all of baseball. 202 consecutive starts. You got to go back to Pete Rose, 1973 to 1976, and owns 3 of the 4 longest streaks by a Red.
You know, I'm not so sure that you're going to
1994.
see a lot of days off this year for Joey Votto. I think the cold had a lot to do with it. This road trip, you know, if you were in Cincinnati, you realize how cold it was. I mean, it snowed here one day, right?
Yeah.
It snowed over in Pittsburgh one day. They had to remove the snow from the field in the morning so the Reds could play that evening. Temperatures in Philadelphia were frigid. That's the kind of thing that takes a lot out of you. But my point about him not getting many days off is that this year, remember that there are more off days during the season than ever before, designed to keep players fresh. But Mother Nature had something to say about that here in the first week.
It's an unusual schedule to begin the season, made more unusual as Duvall pops out for out number 2. Made more unusual by that rain out on opening day. It's kind of put things in flux, but the Reds are returning home after that road trip that saw them go through Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And this 4-game set is the homestand. It's a 4-game homestand. Then it's off to Milwaukee and St. Louis. And the Reds will come home and face the Atlanta Braves for 4 and then go right back on the road again.
Well, you get a home series back in Cincinnati against the Cardinals. I mean, you got to be happy about that.
Yeah.
If you're a Reds fan, good time to come down to the ballpark. Nice weekend of weather here.
But when they go back on the road at the end of the month, it's just 3 in Minnesota and then right back home.
Yeah, good thing they've got a direct flight.
That is one of the benefits. There's no connections when you're on a charter. How many times have we seen Scooter Gennett climb the ladder and hit it the other way? This one foul. But
well, you know, teams will continue to pitch Scooter up there because he likes to chase it. You know, most shorter players are guys who are aggressively after pitches that are up in the strike zone.
He almost tomahawked one out last night.
I mean, in his 4 home run night last year.
Yeah, one of them, that
June.
third one to the opposite field was, which he said as many times, and you've talked about it a lot, was the most incredible one of the 4.
Absolutely right.
Easy 5th inning for Michael Wacha. Off to the 6th we go. Good one brewing here at Great American. offensive kind of game so far. 4-4 game, top of the 6th. Gorgeous night here in Cincinnati. Austin Bryce stays into the game for the Reds after inducing Yadier Molina on a 4-6-3 double play to end the 5th. Big at bat in this game. Facing Paul DeYoung. Four runs, 5 hits, 1 error for St. Louis. 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Reds. One pitch to Paul DeYoung. Came up empty.
That is a spot for Austin Bryce. I mean, anybody who throws a sinking fastball, and if you've got a guy that throws from a low arm angle, Bryce, Jared Hughes on the Red staff, you know, those guys live downstairs for the most part, and that's where he gets his most movement.
Two and two. Paul DeYoung had 25 home runs last year. His big league debut. 108 games. 65 RBIs. Just 24 years of age. Won't turn 25 till August. That's 25 long one, second most by a Cardinals rookie to some guy named Albert Pujols, who only hit 37 in 2001. So high hopes for a long career of Paul DeYoung. Uh-oh. Speaking of home runs. Fourth home run of the season for DeYoung.
The second baseman, Paul.
I only give the facts.
Bryce supplied the elevation and DeYoung supplied the bat head.
The Cardinals retake the lead at 5-4. Chopper, Wong. Easy play for Duvall, 1 out.
You know, you may have seen Adam Duvall when he fielded that ball, you know, kind of trying to keep his feet in fair territory, you know, kind of like a receiver in football, keeping your feet in while you grab the ball. That really has nothing to do with whether the ball is fair or foul. The umpire is watching the ball entirely. And Duvall tried to rush that ball and get to it before it was going to spin in foul territory, and Bryce gets an easy out.
Pinch hitter now at the plate, Harrison Bader. So Michael Walker's night is done. So Walker goes 5, gives up 4 runs, 3 of which were earned. Goes 4 1/3. Walker goes 5. Let's see what the bullpens do the rest of the way. Foul ball. Lefty Amir Garrett cranking it up in the Reds' pen. Get him? Yep.
Sure sounded like it.
Brian Price on the top step.
And Brian wants to see if there's a check swing because, of course, that would nullify the hit by pitch. Did he go or not? If you're hit by a pitch and you swing at it, it's a strike and a dead ball. I think that hit him before he had a chance to follow through and swing at it. Did not go. Ball got him on the right wrist. Austin Bryce wants to know the same thing.
Price will now walk to Bill Miller to make a double switch. And that'll be it for Austin Bryce. 2 outs, or 1 out, into the top of the 6th. 1-run game.
Knight's win last night to carry the Reds to a win tonight. As we know, Amir Garrett is from Las Vegas, and he is a big Vegas Golden Knights fan. This is one of the sports stories of the year. In their inaugural season, the hockey team, Vegas Golden Knights, made it all the way to the playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoffs began last night, and the Golden Knights won against the Los Angeles Kings. So hopefully some of that adrenaline will help Amir Garrett stay pumped up for this Reds game.
Shannon, he was fired up all spring training long about his NHL hockey team in Las Vegas. He attended many games.
Which I find is very interesting because we asked him if he followed NCAA basketball. And of course he was an NCAA basketball player. He said, no, I haven't had time to. He left out the NHL part, but now we know what he was doing.
He has been good out of the Reds bullpen, and I mean really good. He inherits a situation, 1 out, runner on first base.
Well, Garrett has not given up a run yet. He's only walked 1. He's been out there 4 different games covering 6 innings.
I talked to him before today's game, and I asked him like 4 or 5 times, would you rather be a starter? There's been a lot of talk about, you know, why you're not starting in this 5th spot right now. He said, I don't care, man. I really don't. I don't care what role I'm in. I just want to be on the big league club. I have no problem at all throwing out of the bullpen. I have no problem transitioning and warming up quickly. Ground ball, base hit, left field. So Dexter Fowler keeps it going here in the 6th for the Cardinals. But he said, I have no problem. And I can warm up quickly. And I asked him, do you think you've earned to be in a high leverage situation? Because he's not been in the highest leverage of situations so far this year.
Well, you got Wandy Peralta and Iglesias, the guys who are going to be mostly gone to at the end of the game. And of course, with the back of the baseball card that Jared Hughes has, he's got to be in that three-man mix as well. So these are the kind of things that you earn. Starting rotation, you earn it. Late innings, high leverage, you earn that too. And he's on his way.
Saw a shot of Phil Gosselin as part of the double switch, and here's a base hit into right field. This will load the bases. Broken bat, Tommy Pham.
Now, not exactly centered up, that's for sure. Right at the edge of the bat. We've seen two right on the edge of the bat tonight. Right, the kind of the chalk end, if you want to say, like a billiard cue. Jose Peraza dumped the base hit into right field, and Pham gets one. The end of the bat can be kind.
So now's the situation where you really like to see Garrett bear down. This is lefty versus lefty. Bases loaded, one out. He wanted high leverage. This is high leverage.
Well, he created it himself, and this is no ordinary lefty. This is a guy that's going to really make you throw good strikes.
Took some off. In at the corners, Blandino and Gosselin, who's now at first base for the Reds. Middle of the infield at double play down. Swing and a miss.
The two strikes in this at bat have been the slider.
One-two pitch. Strike three call. Beauty by Garrett.
It locked him up. It was a third slider in this at bat, and this time, instead of throwing it diving away from the left-handed hitting Carpenter, he threw it kind of right into his belt buckle. Carpenter froze, and he gets a strikeout. Good shot of the release point.
Now will face the righty Marcell Ozuna, who extended his hitting streak to 11 games with a home run in the third.
This is where Amir Garrett, you know, he's a young guy, just like Sal Romano. You have to kind of control yourself and don't feel like you have to muscle up. Your fastball is good enough. Your location is more important. He really looked like he overthrew that first pitch.
Garrett behind 2-0. Three and 0.
Well, the helpless feeling that Brian Price must have in the dugout. He has seen already one walk with the bases loaded to force in a run, and Garrett is one pitch away from another.
Needs a strike and gets it. Marcell Ozuna. hailing from the Dominican Republic, 27 years of age, newly acquired in the offseason by the Cardinals. And here comes the 3-1 to Ozuna, and it's fouled out of play on a line. Cardinals acquired Ozuna back in December from the Marlins. Gave up 4 players for Marcell Ozuna, part of that fire sale down there in South Florida. Runners will be on the move. 3 and 2, 2 outs. Up the middle. Diving stop. Jeanette, can he make the play? Yes!
Wow, what a play.
We'll hold it right here as Ozuna calling for the replay. But if that stands, that's a heck of a play by Scooter Jeanette. As we went to break, indeed, Mike Matheny asked the umpiring crew to check it on replay. The call is out at first base by Angel Hernandez, the first base umpire. There's no question that Goslin receives the ball before Ozuna gets there. I imagine they are challenging whether or not Goslin had his foot on the bag, and yes, says Bill Miller. A heck of a play by Scooter Jeanette. And we'll be back after this. but Scooter Gennett.
That might be the best play I've ever seen Scooter Gennett make defensively, especially on top of the throw that he made last night, the error that opened it up for the Phillies' extra inning win. He comes up with a play right here that really saves the Reds some extra aggravation. They're still down by 1, but it could have been a lot worse.
It went to replay, and officially the call stands on the replay. Gennett's like, my bad last night. But maybe a game saver right there. We'll see how it turns out. 5-4 game, bottom of the 6th. New pitcher on for the Cardinals. It's righty John Brebbia. And an 0-2 count to Phillip Ervin. One and two. Two and two. 0 for 2 tonight is Phillip Ervin. Line out, fly out. Swing and a miss. Brebbia comes on and mows down Ervin. That'll bring up Tucker Barnhart.
Brebbia is a guy that throws a lot of high fastballs. He's got good backspin on that four-seamer and gets many fly balls. He goes upstairs to get a strike 3 from the Reds' leadoff hitter in this inning, Phillip Ervin. But he also paid the price for a lot of fly balls with some home runs last year.
One very memorable one. Scooter Gennett's 4 home run night.
June the 6th.
And you guys were wondering at the time in the booth, would John Brebbia pitch to Scooter Gennett, who already had 3 home runs? And indeed he did. And Gennett sent one out of here and sent himself into the record books. He will be an answer to a trivia question. Who gave up the 4th home run on that fateful night? Broken bat. 2 outs. John Fullboam Brebbia. That's quite the name. Middle name is spelled F-U-L-B-O-A-M. I imagine it's Fullboam. Good old Fullboam Brebbia from Boston, Mass. 27 years of age. One ball, one strike to Alex Blandino. Playing third base tonight for the Reds in his 2nd big league start. Two and two. Blandino stays alive. Strike 3 call. Blandino bailing out, but Brebbia gets the call, and it's a 1-2-3-6. exclusive item, including a Star Wars Chewbacca bobblehead, a Fiona the Hippo, Elvis bobbleheads, and more. Guarantee these limited edition collectibles by purchasing a theme ticket package. Visit reds.com/themes. Another Major League debut about to happen, and it's right-handed pitcher Zach Weiss. Here you see his numbers last year, A-ball and Double-A. Was impressive this spring was Zach Weiss, and actually earned his way on the opening day roster, but because of the rainout and the Reds having to change around and needing a fifth starter all of a sudden to come out of the gates, he was the odd man out and was sent out without making an appearance. "25 years of age, 6'3", 210.
Not overpowering, but he's got a fastball that kind of jumps on you a little bit. Has a breaking ball as well, but it's a good one. He had a nice showing down in Goodyear in spring training, and that's why he's here.
6th round pick back in 2013, Zach Weiss. Ripped. Welcome to the bigs.
Take two and lose one.
That was a missile home run off the bat of Jose Martinez. .64 game.
Two fastballs that Martinez got to kind of study the release point of Zach Weiss, and then one grooved. They might have to get the chair repairman out there for that one.
That ball was smoked. So the Reds will have to climb out of a 2-run deficit now. 6-4. They fell behind 2-0 in this game, rallied to tie it up in the bottom of the first. Now Tucker Barnhart will go out and try to at least calm the breathing of Zach Weiss. How much was your chest pounding in your MLB debut?
A lot. Especially after the first hitter I faced hit it all the way to the center field wall, with center fielder catching the ball with his back to home plate. Uh-oh.
That is back-to-back welcome to the bigs. Way out of here. Yadier Molina.
I didn't know Yadi had that kind of power. That ball is way up.
He took a 2-0 pitch and sent it into the second deck. Home run number 4 of the season. Cardinals have a 3-run lead. Well, a couple of tough Major League debuts for some young Reds relievers. Tanner Rainey gave up a grand slam in his Major League appearance, and now Zach Weiss, back-to-back jacks here in the 7th. Still nobody out. Now you really got to calm yourself down. Counts 3-0 to Paul DeYoung. Four-pitch walk.
This is really probably the most difficult part of Brian Price's experience as a Reds manager. I mean, the Reds have gone through so many pitchers in the tenure of Brian Price, and you know, countless times he's come into a ball game. You get into the middle innings, and you're looking down the bullpen just to see who's available, and you're down by a run or two, so you're not going to use, you know, your setup guy or your closer. They've leaned on, in this case, Jared Hughes very heavily so far this year. You know, you're not going to go in without a lead before you bring in Iglesias or Peralta. So you need somebody to stop the gap. And we've seen a 5-4 game, a 1-run game, now turn into a 3-run game, and still nobody out in the inning.
Colton Wong at the plate. And that trip to the mound by Mac Jenkins allow a little extra time for Tanner Rainey, the aforementioned, to get some warm-up pitches in. He's in the Reds bullpen. And this is the first game where the newly instituted rules of only 6 mound trips per 9 innings. We haven't seen either the Reds or any team they've played come close. The Reds are down to 2 trips left, and we're in the 7th. So we haven't seen it come into play as far as running out of mound visits. This is the closest they've came, and a couple innings to play. Strike called. He needed that in the worst way. Back-to-back walk, Zach Weiss. See what Brian Price does here. He's going to have to come get his young right-hander. Here he comes. Some major league debuts go better than others, and a tough debut for Zach Weiss. A couple of home runs, 2 walks. Brian Price visiting Bill Miller once again. He'll make another double switch. And we'll be back after this. On reigning AL MVP Jose Altuve and the defending champion Astros. Then at 7, Mike Trout and the Angels battle the Royals. It all happens Saturday on FS1. You can stream it live on Fox Sports Go. The pitcher for the Reds is righty Tanner Rainey. And Rainey hoping to put his nerves behind him. Like Weiss, it was a very tough major league debut. And it came in Philadelphia, in which he came on in the 8th inning, gave up a walk, a double, an intentional walk, and a grand slam home run to Scott Kingery. So he's got that one behind him and hoping for better days starting right now. Cliff Pennington into the ball game. He's at third base, part of the double switch, and a pinch hitter at the plate for the Cardinals, Greg Garcia. .25 pitches in that major league debut. Two and 0. Tanner Rainey, 25 years of age, 6'2", 235 from Louisiana. 3 and 0. Rainey, 1 ball away from 3 consecutive walks by Reds pitching. And not even close.
Well, the problem in evaluating pitchers in spring training is you get wrapped up in their stuff. And oftentimes they face hitters that aren't grinding it out, that aren't really looking to extend the at-bat or trying to get on base via a walk. If it's a veteran, he's probably trying to work on something. He's swinging the bat so that he's an inning closer than to go back into cages and really work on his stuff. If it's a young pitch player coming out of AA, what do you really see? The number 1 priority for being able to be called up to the big leagues as a pitcher should be the ability to throw the ball over the plate where you want to. And if all you do is light up the radar gun and it's down the middle, you find out that mid-90s is hitting speed.
Counts 1-1 to Dexter Fowler. Bases loaded, nobody out. Already 2 in the inning, and a 7-4 Cardinals lead. One and 2. Rainey was a competitive balance round B pick back in 2015, which is a high draft pick. But he has not thrown much above AA.
Well, the thing about that is that, you know, when you're down in lower A ball and you throw in the mid-90s, you're just going to overpower people because they're just not used to seeing that. But everywhere he has gone into minor leagues, he has averaged a walk every other inning. That's 4.5 to 5 walks per night in a game. That does not cut it when you get to the big leagues, because that number will shoot up to about 7. Because the strike zones are smaller here. Batters tend to chase fewer pitches that are marginal and outside of the zone.
That youngster doesn't care what the score is right now. He just got a baseball.
Well, it's still a ball game. I mean, you're only down by 3 right now.
We'll do the 2-2 again. 3 and 2. Walked him and walked in a run. 8-4 game. Four consecutive walks. First pitch strike to Tommy Pham. That is the 8th walk of the night by Reds pitching. Swing and a miss. This inning started with a Jose Martinez solo home run, followed by a Yadier Molina solo home run. Walk to DeYoung, walk to Wong, walk to Garcia, walk to Fowler. And he bounces one. Way outside. Three and two. Reds had the lead in this game 4-3. And how quickly you can turn around. 3-2 pitch. This is ugly now. 5 straight walks.
The problem when your pitchers cannot throw the ball over the plate, it makes your entire team look like a bunch of amateurs, and that's not the case. All the problem is that you can't find somebody to throw the ball in the strike zone. Again, that should be the #1 priority before you call someone to the big leagues. And this has got to be just hair-pulling frustration for Brian Price. I mean, he's going with what he's got. And this is what he's got.
Kevin Quackenbush is finally up and throwing in the Reds bullpen. And he just started throwing. It is not often that I look down at my score sheet and I see 5 consecutive walks in a Major League Baseball game. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever written down 5 consecutive walks.
I mean, it's so bad that you're torn between disgust and pity.
Yep.
I mean, you know the kid's trying to throw the ball over the plate. But he just can't do it. And you're pulling for him every pitch. Come on, Tanner.
There is still nobody out. Three and one. 3-2. In the air, center field. Deep enough to get a run in. Throw will come into third. Tagging and going to third is Fowler. Scoring is Garcia. And it's 10-4 Cardinals. And here's Marcell Ozuna, representing the 9th man to hit in the inning. First and third now, 1 out. Oh, and 1. Swing and a miss. Down in the dirt, the count's 1-2. One-two pitch off the handle, and Goslin handles it. 2 outs. And now Jose Martinez, who got everything started in this inning with a solo home run that seemed like a day ago. Boy, that's a lot of action in that box with that bat. One and one. 98 on the gun. 30 pitches now for Rainey in this inning, and he didn't even start the inning. It's giving Barnhart a workout.
Well, if there's one guy that's going to stay positive through this whole thing, it'll be Tucker Barnhart. I mean, he knows that eventually, you know, Tanner Rainey, if he stays healthy, he'll get better, and his control will get better, presumably. You think it probably was. Got a great arm. And someday he'll be up here and really pitching in high leverage situations. So you want to continue to encourage. Some of these guys are just up here before their time. But the important thing is how you get up after you get knocked down.
2-2 pitch in the air, right field. Irvin on, he misjudged it. 1 run scores. Here comes a second run to the plate. Throw not in time. And an ugly inning gets uglier. Mercy. And they score that a 2-base hit.
Wow.
On a very catchable
Well,
ball.
you know, I'm wondering if maybe the official score has to score it a hit, because misjudging a ball and getting a bad break on it is not technically an error. Getting to the spot on time and then dropping it would be an error. Sometimes a scorer, you know, gets criticized and they're just scoring within the parameters of what the rule book tells them to do. Certainly a catch that Tanner Rainey needed in the worst way.
Counts no balls and 2 strikes to Yadier Molina.
He was up earlier in this inning, wasn't he?
Indeed he was. It was Jose Martinez that got it kicked off here in the 7th. Home run. Molina followed with a home run. Then the walk parade. The 11th man to hit here in the 7th inning. Cardinals have blown it wide open. One-two pitch. Grounder. Peraza. Out number 3. But a big inning for the Cardinals.
Gold Glove bobblehead thanks to Coca-Cola. See your Reds and Cardinals this weekend for as low as $12. For tickets, visit reds.com. Some positive news for the Reds. I caught up with third baseman Eugenio Suarez before the game. He was moving his right thumb around. It looked like the swelling went down as well as the bruising. He didn't give us an exact date for his return, but it's certainly a glimmer of hope for this struggling ball club.
Yeah, Brian Price talked yesterday about it. At first they thought that it would be at least a 6-week injury. Now they expect him to resume, if all goes well, resume baseball activities under a month.
Well, that's great news right there, because
Yeah.
he leaves a major void in the Reds lineup and really in the clubhouse too. He has turned himself into one heck of a nice ball player.
New pitcher on for the Cardinals. It's Mike Mayers. Phil Goslin, first pitch swinging. Wow. Whole new battery. Francisco Pena behind the plate for the Cardinals. He'll be batting third. Mayers hitting sixth in the order of the pitcher. Greg Garcia is now at third base. And that would be Mike Myers. I said Mayers.
It's
My
spelled
apologies.
Mayers.
I
It's
know.
spelled M-A-Y-E-R-S, but he pronounces it Myers.
My apology to Mr. Myers. Billy Hamilton scored 2 runs tonight. Walk, single. One pitch. Check swing appeal. No, says Alan Porter. Count evens at 2-2. Ground ball. 2 outs. Make the back ground out to the shortstop. And here is the shortstop for the Reds, Jose Peraza.
Well, you know, the only thing really left for the Reds to do here in this ball game, I mean, this is a tough spot to be in, because you got to feel like there's just no life in that dugout whatsoever. That type of an inning where you gave up 7 runs in the inning, and I think what, 6 walks or 5 or 6 walks, it just takes the whatever juice you had in it and just drains it right out of you. But you still got to get up there and play hard and get professional at bats, work the pitcher, and learn something about the pitchers that you're facing, because you may face them tomorrow night with the game on the line.
Hard hit ball down the left field line. Oh, the extra bases for Jose Peraza.
Well, for a guy that looked so bad the first, say, week of the season, he has looked extremely good, completely turned it around here lately. He's always been a guy that likes the ball in the inner part of the plate. And he gets that one about letter high and rips it down the left field line.
Third hit of the night for Peraza, and a couple of doubles. Double, bunt single, double. He scored 2 runs. So if you're looking for bright spots, he is one of them. 5 for his last 8 and 3 doubles. And he got off to just a terrible start at the plate to start the season. And now kicking it into gear. Jesse Winker 1 for 3 tonight. An RBI single in the first. Very light action in the National League today. Pirates 6-1 winners over the Cubs. Rockies leading the Nationals 5-1 in the 9th. Giants and Padres later on tonight. But those Pittsburgh Pirates, man, they just keep rolling. They're now 9-3. Swing and a miss. Two balls, two strikes to Jesse Winker. In the air, left side. Going over and reaching over, but running out of room. It's Greg Garcia. Came a long way, did Garcia. Count holds at 2-2. Light night all around Major League Baseball. Only 4 games in the American League. The Indians, the 9-3 win over the Tigers. Red Sox 6-0 lead over the Yankees. White Sox 2-0, or Twins 2-0 lead over the White Sox. In the 5th, Angels Royals in the 5th. Angels with a 1-0 lead. See if the Red Sox and Yankees can get along tonight.
Why? I think it's more fun when they don't.
That game in Boston, the Yankees no hits. Reaching over and making the catch is Ozuna. Won the Gold Glove last year and showed you why right there. Marcell Ozuna. Pretty play. 8th inning, here we come.
Transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Tonight's IGS bringing the energy, and the Cardinals have been bringing it for Mike Matheny. 19 home runs this season, tied for most in the National League with the Rockies. There's been a home run kind of night for the Cardinals and a tough pitching night for the Reds. And now they give the ball to Cody Reed, which will tip the Reds' hand. Reed was listed as the starter Saturday, but with Brandon Finnegan looming, rehabbing, and the question up in the air, would Finnegan make that start? I would think the answer is on the mound right now that Cody Reed's pitching in this game.
So if you're Cody Reed, this is what you're thinking. All right, I'm in the game today, Thursday night, so that means I'm not pitching Saturday. But there's got to be a roster move made in order to get Brandon Finnegan on the roster, right? So somebody's going down to AAA.
Right.
Do I want it to be me? And so basically what you're doing here is trying to make sure that you pitch well enough in this ball game, whether it's a mop-up job or not, to look impressive enough to stay in the major leagues.
Well, you said it earlier, this whole team, this is when you have to be a pro. It was a 7-run 7th inning. It is 12-4 right now. You are paid to play baseball at the highest level, and it doesn't matter the situation. You go inning by inning, play it out. And as you said, a big opportunity for Reed to hang with the big club. Mop up or not. Counts 2-2 to Colton Wong. Tapper in front of the plate. Barnard makes the play and the ball's dropped. Air Phil Gosselin. And a bad night continues.
Yeah, if you look at this play, you're going to see Colton Wong running on the fair side of the line down here. And that's in wrong territory right there. But the only time the umpire is going to make that call, and Brian Price is going to go out and talk to Bill Miller right here saying, hey, he's not in the runner's lane. He's in fair territory. But the only time the umpire will make a call to call for batter-runner interference is if it affects the player who's receiving the throw. Was Gosselin affected by Wong running in fair territory? And that's the decision that the home plate umpire has to make. It is probably one of the most misunderstood rules in all of baseball. And I think Brian knows it very well, and Miller knows it very well too, and they're probably arguing about the great print.
So the letter of the law, I mean, he was clearly on the grass.
Clearly on the grass. There's no question about where he was. He was in violation where he was running. But the only time it is called is when you affect not the throw, but the guy who's receiving it, whether it's the first baseman or the second baseman. And one other point to make about this play is that if a catcher gets up and fields that ball and he sees the runner running in such unfair territory that there's no throwing lane and he decides not to throw, then the umpire will not make the call either. So you be the judge. Was Gosselin spooked because Wong was running in the wrong spot, or did he just miss the baseball? And I think that Miller has ruled that he just missed the baseball.
Well, it is officially an error on Phil Gosselin. Hamilton gloves the second out off the bat of Greg Garcia.
So even in a game like this, we can still learn a little bit about the rules and learn a little bit about the Reds players that are still in the game.
And if there's a rule in question, we go to our rules expert, and that being one Christopher Welsh.
Well, I sent out a new rule of the week today, as a matter of fact.
I got it via email, and this time, because you berated me that I didn't check out the last video, checked it out.
Good. I'm glad you did. And
BaseballRulesAcademy.com.
you can look at it there, and you can also find it on YouTube. Just look for Baseball Rules or Baseball Rules Academy, anything like that. The rule of the week this week was about when a batter actually causes a balk. And we've seen that in the big leagues. In fact, that happened recently where there was a manager in baseball who did not know the ruling, went out and argued. Like the clueless fan that sometimes argues, right? He got straightened out on that.
Or the clueless announcer. I've been in that category many times.
Good inning.
Cody Reed gets to the 8th unscathed. All the information you need for that night's game, including Tom's tidbits, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And tomorrow night, another 6:40 start. Luke Weaver will face Tyler Malley. 6 o'clock for Reds Live tomorrow night. Hope you join us then. Here's Cliff Pennington. Switch hitting Pennington. His first at bat in this game, came on defensively in the 7th. Cardinals blew open this game in the 7th with a 7 spot. Mike Myers on for a second inning of work. Pennington, a non-roster invitee to big league camp and spring training, made the club out of spring. Reds needed a true backup shortstop. Two-two pitch, swing and a miss.
Good pitch right there by Myers. He's a young man, really, who's from Reds country. He grew up in Grove City, went to Grove City High School right outside of Columbus. He was the football star as a quarterback on the football team, led the team to the playoffs, also played on the basketball team, and of course it was baseball where he excelled. Took a scholarship to Ole Miss, Zach Cozart's old school, and here he is in the major leagues.
Man, I really let my Columbus people down by dropping a Mares on him earlier.
They'll forgive you.
I don't know. I hail from C-Bus. Ground ball off the bat of Scooter Jeanette. Wong makes the play. 2 outs. I mean, Grove City. Those that make the track from Cincinnati up Columbus.
You have to go through. I mean, you have
go
to
right
go
through.
You got
Grove
no
City
choice, right?
Yep. If you're going up 71, yeah.
And we know that you've made that trek many, many, many times. But of course, now you're a full-time resident and homeowner here in Hamilton County, Ohio. Are you in Hamilton County still?
No, I'm in Claremont.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've been a long time. I just haven't been a homeowner here. Long-time resident here. But I had 2 residences for a long time. And made that drive many, many times.
So the non-resident golf memberships are now out the window. Busted.
Correct. Correct amundo, as one Arthur Fonzarelli used to say. Yeah.
We're going to see the Fonzie statue coming up right on the next road trip.
Yeah. Philip Irvin, hard hit ball. That'll be scored a base hit, I'm sure. See, now the producer Josh Hall piling on.
He's
you guys.
He's a comedian.
He gets in my ear and says that 4-mile walk to the statue.
Well, wait a minute now. There was a time when, you know, you were working as a sideline reporter with us, and you did the special on the statue of the Fonz, which is in Milwaukee. And I guess it was Tom Brenneman asked you, well, how far is that from the hotel? And your estimate was what, 4 or 5 miles?
I didn't say 4. I said a couple miles, a few miles, I think, or something like that. It was really, it was less than a mile.
More like 6 blocks, wasn't it?
It was, you know, it was a long walk for a guy like me.
Cold day.
Cold day.
Wind in your face.
Wind in my face. I had to walk uphill to and from through snow. I was slightly off. Math or geography, I was told, was not part of this gig.
Well, they have a feels like temperature. They might as well have a feels like walk.
It felt like 3 miles to me. For the record, Tom never made that walk himself. Just throw that out there. Went on my own.
Well, he will be in Milwaukee.
Yep.
To do the play-by-play against the Brewers, so maybe it'd be a great opportunity for you and Tom to take a little 5-mile stroll.
You know what? That's a good idea.
You could take him a long way and just say, hey, this is.
You know what? He would never know. He's probably watching right now, though, throwing his remote at the TV. Barnhart draws a 2-out walk. And this will be Devin Mesoraco pinch hitting for the Reds. Two outs, 2 on. Mesoraco batting average of 143 to start the season. This might be an interesting situation. because from what we know right now, Mesoraco is hitting for the pitcher. And there's no one warming up in the Reds pen.
Well, it could be the Mesoraco ends up pitching for the pitcher too.
A position player might end up pitching in this game. We'll see. Check swing appeal. No. Says Angel Hernandez. So who would it be? Would it be Jeanette again? Two pitch to Mesoraco. 3-2. Strike 3 call. Off to the 9th we go. We'll see what happens. So 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp are tangling undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays from 9:30 a.m. to noon, only on FS1 and streaming on Fox Sports Go. As we speculated, indeed, it has come to fruition. Brian Price talking to home plate umpire Bill Miller to make yet another change, and it is position player Cliff Pennington on the hill here in the 9th for the Reds in a 12-4 game. Pennington has pitched one time in his career, and believe it or not, it came in the postseason. In 2015 with Toronto, he pitched a third of an inning and gave up 2 hits, no runs. And his first pitch is a called strike at 85 on the gun.
Well, it was the first time in postseason history that a position player pitched, unless you count Babe Ruth or Rick Ankiel.
I was just going to say, it's got to be the ultimate trivia, the answer to a trivia question.
He actually in that ball game topped out at 91 miles an hour, which when he's pitching, which was harder than the Royals starter Chris Young topped out that night.
He's throwing strikes. Counts 2-2. Phil Goslin has moved over to third base. Devin Mesoraco stays in the game. He's at first. First time in his big league career, Devin Mesoraco is at first base.
Hey, what? Pennington is throwing the ball right around 90 miles an hour. I didn't even see him warm up.
He walks the first batter.
Right on schedule.
And that schedule being a tough one tonight for Brian Price's team. That is walk number 10. Unless, again, my math fails me, which often it has. That is indeed the 10th walk of the game. And this is Francisco Pena at the plate. Mile high into left center field. Going back and getting it as Winker. One out. And now Marcell Ozuna. Pennington throwing strikes. 89. And working quickly. What you would think a position player would do, because position players love pitchers that work quickly.
They appreciate it more than anybody.
One pitch. 2-1. Ground ball. Peraza's only play is to first. 2 outs. So Pennington will have the bragging rights over Pena and now Ozuna. Scooter Gennett, we speculated would it be Scooter last year, an inning, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, allowed a home run. And I'm sure if Pennington gets out of this inning, he'll be like, hey, I outdid you, my friend. He's ahead 0-2 on Jose Martinez. One-two pitch. Ripped down the left field line. This will bring in a run. On his way to second base is Martinez. RBI double. It's 13-4.
You know, bringing in a position player to pitch is probably the last thing that a manager wants to do. I mean, it's the equivalent of, you know, jumping ship, waving the white flag. But it's even especially troubling when you have a bullpen that is made up of 8 relievers. Normally bullpens have 7 guys. Early in the season, sometimes teams will go with an extra reliever, figuring that their starters aren't ready to go deep into the games.
How about the night? I'm sorry.
But you normally have a couple of guys down there that, you know, are your quote-unquote, at least one guy would be your quote-unquote mop-up guy who will pitch multiple innings. But when you don't throw the ball over the plate, you can't send them out there for multiple innings. It's one thing getting hit around. It's another thing bringing the game to a screeching halt by not being able to find the strike zone.
And that happened in the 7th inning. Zach Weiss and Tanner Rainey, 2 rookie pitchers for the Reds. Zach Weiss made his major league debut, gave up back-to-back home runs, walked 2 batters. Tanner Rainey came in and walked 3 consecutive batters. It was a 7-run inning for the Cardinals. And quite the night for Jose Martinez, who just doubled in a run. A career-high 6 RBIs tonight for Jose Martinez. RBI single, drew an RBI walk, home run, 2 RBI double, RBI double. And now a walk here from Pennington. Pennington doing the best he can, facing Paul DeJong. This is the proverbial taking one for the team. You got to wonder how many pitches he has.
Well, I mean, he certainly he is certainly kind of high effort. I mean, throwing the ball up around 90 miles an hour, I would think that, you know, you'd be almost as good if you just kind of lobbed it in there. And
yeah.
Because if you watch batting practice, not every ball that is right down the middle is hit for a home run. The guys pop them up, they hit them in the ground, and get them off the end of the bat sometimes.
It's still a round bat trying to hit a round ball.
And of course, these at-bats count for each one of these hitters.
Left field, foul. If he gets too deep into this inning, you could just do the old college or little league switcheroo. Send Pennington to second and bring on Scooter. Pitch. Strike 3 call. And how about Cliff Pennington? Strikeout to end the inning. This will come up for the final time. Check this out. April 8th, 2013. The Reds scored 9 runs in the 9th inning to come back and beat the Cardinals. Scored them off of Mitchell Boggs and Mark Zebchenski. Our now colleague Sam LeCure ended up getting the win on this day. Put this in the category of you just never know in baseball. That was an incredible comeback. And it will take an incredible comeback tonight to attain that 13-4. As Phil Gosselin hit for the 3rd time in this game here in the 9th. And Mike Myers still on the hill, going for the ever elusive 3-inning save. Not often that you see a save on the board in a 13-4 game, but if he gets through this inning, it will indeed be a save. Oh, 2 pitch. Dribbler, right side. Myers covering, 1 out. Post game coming up after this one. The faithful will be at the condo, and I will be joining Jeff Pecoro for that. As always, presented by Performance Kings Honda. Win or lose, we cap this bad boy off. One for 3 night for Billy Hamilton. Scored a couple of runs. Reds down to their final out. Good night for Peraza, 3 for 4. Couple of doubles for Peraza. Down a beautiful bunt in the 3rd. Scored a couple runs. Right center field. And a sliding catch made out there for the final out. Nicely done. And that caps off a very tough night for the home squad. Cardinals win it 13-4 to take game 1 of this 4-game set. Reds Live, the post-game edition, is right around the corner. Stay with us.